I can do a motion. Okay, either David or Lee, if you could raise your hand just to let us know that the audio is coming through, okay?
Glacial.
Okay. All right, well, tonight is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. We'll call the zoning board of appeals meeting to order. Start with roll call. Matt Watkins, present. Dave McMorris.
Present.
Lee Garst.
Here. Sorry, I'm all signed
Woody.
in now.
Woody Chidick.
Present.
Charlie Higginson.
Yep.
Leah Fernandez.
Present.
Okay, all members present. Just for the record, the meeting is being held in a hybrid format. We have participation both here in person at Wolcott Commons as well as via Zoom online. If you're participating online, please use the chat function or the raised hand function to participate. You can be promoted to make comments on a specific application if you'd like. And for folks that are in the room, if you could approach the podium and speak at the podium so that everyone can hear you. Finally, just for the record, David McMorris, who is our chair, has joined us remotely, and seeing as co-chair and here in person, I'll be acting as chair for tonight's meeting. So we have 4 continued hearings in front of us tonight, as well as just some administration's items, no new hearings. The first hearing up is the first continued hearing is 469 Jerusalem Road. This is an appeal of the building inspector's determination. We've had a number of hearings on this. It was continued last time. There hasn't been any new information, nor was there any expected from the applicant. But Richard, if you want to introduce yourself and have any comments.
Richard Henderson from Orenburger, DeLisi and Harris.
I don't think the mic's on.
Oh, sorry, it's not on. Just a technical person.
Sounds like it might be now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Richard Henderson from Orenburger, DeLisi and Harris. I represent Trace Gels on Banner LLC, RNJ, Limited Liability Company. I'm requesting a continuance until April hearing, and hopefully by that time we may withdraw it. But I have nothing to add, and I had written about 3 weeks ago requesting a continuance until April 6th.
Okay.
Just to follow up on that, the applicant has applied for a building permit to add 2 bedrooms. The original permit was never closed out. We were back in the file, so they hired a licensed contractor to apply for a new permit in an effort to close it out. We're have appointed with the sewer commission later on this week, so we're looking to come to a resolution. We should have the answer by next meeting, so that they'll be able to withdraw and it will be satisfied. But that's the direction we're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see the continuance. I thought it was more of a timing issue, so I thought we would maybe deliberate, but I think that's fair. So we just need to I guess have a motion to continue to accept the applicant's request for a continuance for 469.
I'd make such a motion to accept the request to continue this until April 6th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So actually, and just for this application, if it does move forward, the three voting members on this one are myself, David, and Woody. So I'll start with we'll go around, but Dave McMorris.
Aye.
Woody Chidick.
Aye.
Matt Watkins. Aye.
Aye.
Charlie Higginson.
He said aye.
Leah Fernandez.
Aye.
And Lee Darst.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
Thank
May
you.
I make a plea that everybody speak up?
Yep, it's in person. I'll remind them on the next one.
You too.
Oh, me too. All right. Our next application is for 54-60 Beach Street. This was initially an application for both a dock and the reconstruction of a retaining wall. Very late today, we got a request to rescind the retaining wall component of it. So if that is still in play, we'll probably address that first. We can deliberate that with the board and then move forward with the continuance of the dock application. So you can just identify yourself and update us on that.
Sure. For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner and applicant GSD Estate Nominee Trust. As was just stated, we submitted 2 special permit applications at this property, one associated with construction of a new dock, the other one associated with the reconstruction of an existing retaining wall. Both special permits were required because both of those structures are within the floodplain overlay district. Since we presented the plans last, we've removed the reconstruction of the retaining wall. We're going to use the existing wall as is, and that's been approved by the Conservation Commission, so we no longer need that special permit. We sent in a request today to withdraw without prejudice the special permit for reconstruction of the retaining wall.
Okay. So I think before we move forward with continued discussion on the dock, probably be best practice to accept or, have them. We'll need a motion to withdraw without prejudice the retaining wall component of the application. So do I have that?
I'll make that motion to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay, moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, Dave McMorris,
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Charlie Higginson,
Aye.
Woody Chidick,
Aye.
Lee Darst,
Aye.
Leo Fernandez.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we have the continued hearing in front of us for the remainder, for 54-60 Beach Street. This is strictly now for the installation of a dock.
It's, again, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant GSD Estate Nominee Trust. We had submitted an application for a special permit for a residential dock at the property at 54-60 Beach Street. The dock is located within the floodplain overlay district, which follows the FEMA elevation, which is an AE 11 zone along Little Harbor. I presented the project in large part at the last meeting, but we continued it so we could go to the Conservation Commission and seek their approval. We went to the Conservation Commission last week and they signed off and approved the project. To re-familiarize the board with the plan itself has not changed with the exception of we removed the reconstruction of a retaining wall, but the dock itself has not changed. It's a 29-foot pier with a 6-by-8 foot landing at the end, a 30-foot removable aluminum ramp, and a 10-foot by 20-foot float. At its closest point, it's 60.1 feet to the abutting property line. The height is 14.4 feet to the top of the rail on the dock structure. It's supported by timber wood pilings. There were 14 pilings proposed as part of the project, so it will have no impact on the ability of water or flood waters to flow underneath the dock structure. There's no change in the topography of the land, no change in the grade. There's been no opposition to this project, and again, the Conservation Commission approved it. So we'd be looking hopefully to close this evening.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my question were there any changes made at Concom for the dock specifically, but you just noted that there was not.
For the dock, there were 0 changes made. It was elimination of the retaining wall only.
Okay. And the order of conditions, I guess, from the Concom. I didn't see in our packet, but I assume if they were,
If it was the other night, I haven't received it.
Process of writing them now.
okay,
She should have them out by the end of the week. She did say that it was fine. It's just a matter of putting the order of conditions together. But I imagine by week's end, they'll be issued.
okay. Yeah, we'll probably just take an action on our end to have that as part of the file when it's received. So either Greg, when you receive it, if you could forward it along, or we'll make it journal. Do any board members have any questions or comments on this?
No question.
Any members of the public that have a question or comment? No. Okay. And just for the note, for the record, for this application, we have David McMorris, myself, and Charlie Higginson as voting members. So do we have a motion to close the hearing for 54-60 Beach Street?
So moved.
Moved,
Second.
seconded. Okay, all in favor? Dave McMorris,
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Charlie Higginson,
Charlie Higginson, aye.
Lee Darst,
Aye.
Woody Chidick,
Aye.
Leo Fernandez.
Aye.
Okay, so
Thank you very much.
we do have a draft decision that we'll deliberate on tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now this is Woody Chidick. I'm recusing myself from 76 Beach Street, our next hearing.
Okay, our next continued hearing is for 76 Beach Street. It's an application for a special permit to expand the single family dwelling and reconstruct the attached garage. At our last hearing, project was presented and looks like since that hearing, we had requested the revised site plan, which did come in as long as an area, as well as an aerial image that came in February. And if you could just identify yourself and like I said, I think those were the only two action items that we were looking for from the applicant.
Right, John Teriyaki, Teriyaki Architectural Design. And just to go over the additional documents we submitted a site plan that has an expanded perimeter showing the two neighboring houses, footprints of the two houses. And then to illustrate the fact that to the east, the next house is quite a bit farther away. We submitted the aerial overlay, which shows the fact that there are no houses within 100 feet plus section of Beach Street on the other side. So the primary closest house is the neighboring house that we discussed last time, including the letter from the owner that's supporting the project.
Okay, thank you. I think we had a comment that came in just for the record that came from the Conservation Commission that was right around the time of our hearing last time. That's part of the file as well. Do any members of the board have any additional questions on this continued hearing? Okay, hearing none. Do any members of the public have any comments? If so, please raise your hand if you're online. Nothing. It looks like for this application too, it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's myself, David and Charlie that are the three voting members on this application.
Well, I haven't had
What's that?
it. I'm all set.
Okay. So do I have a motion to close the hearing for 76 Beach Street?
Motion to close the
Yes.
hearing for 76.
Okay, moved. And
So
second.
move.
Do I have a second?
Close the meeting.
Yep.
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, David Morris,
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye.
Charlie Higginson, aye.
Leah Fernandez.
Aye.
And Lee Darst.
Aye.
Okay. We do have a draft decision for this as well, so we'll deliberate on that this evening. Thank you.
How much?
Charlie, you're recused on this next one is 159 Atlantic. You're
Oh, yeah.
recused on that one.
That- And I excuse myself.
Yeah.
We had one to go yet.
So our next continued hearing is for 159 Atlantic Avenue. We had a review of this application. The last hearing. Since that time. Looks like we received, right around the same time of that hearing, once again, we received the conservation comment. I know last hearing we had a public comment that was made online, and I know in our packet, we had some photos that were submitted by I believe the same individual comment, the public comment at the last hearing, that was part of the board's packet. And so is there anyone here to represent?
Adam Brodsky is online.
Okay. If we could promote Adam, and Adam, when you're promoted, if you could just identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Chair, Co-Chair Watkins. Good evening. My name is Adam Brodsky. I'm a local land use and environmental lawyer, and I represent Aaron and Michael Ryan. I don't know if Brendan Sullivan, our professional land surveyor and professional engineer, is in attendance, but I'm here this evening.
It looks like he is not, Adam. And I know we didn't necessarily have, just looking, I don't think we had any actions for the applicant. I thought, though, that I did see in our packet that there were maybe some, I have to find it, but I want to say that there were some changes to our, changes to the site plan as a result of the Conservation Commission meeting. So we might not have the most recent site plan, if I got that right.
I think you do.
Okay.
Adam wants to speak to that.
Okay, or do you,
I didn't see it, I don't think.
Again, I believe that Brendan provided to the board the approved site plan that was approved by the Conservation Commission, so that all of your plans are matching.
okay, let me just double check why I had that note in there. I think the last site plan I saw was at the last meeting, which is what we're reviewing, but I didn't see anything different in my packet.
The site plan I have is dated December 2025.
Yeah, actually, there was no additional site plan submitted.
So that's the most recent site plan.
So actually, yeah, the Conservation Commission comment says, note, the site plan version submitted to the ZBA is outdated from what Concom approved. The version of the site plan Concom approved is dated 1/15/2026.
Is that?
I didn't see that in our packet.
And forgive me, Chair Watkins, without Brendan here, I'm at something of a loss since I don't have a copy of that plan in front of me.
Okay. Like I said, I know for the application that was in front of us, we didn't have any real outstanding actions, and I did note the additional photographs provided by the resident, but I just want to make sure that we're rolling on the right documentation here.
And Chair Watson, if I recall correctly, the revisions to the site plan had to do with the house and the garage, which are not part of this application. This application concerns the pool and patio and the filling associated with that within the floodplain. I believe all of that other work is outside of the floodplain. Certainly any decision could be conditioned on making sure that you have the correct plan. Again, I would have assumed that you had received it.
Unless in December 31st or something.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a revision date. The original plan would have been dated December 23, 26, and whether there was a revision note on the same plan. Since I'm remote, I'm not on our VPN, and so I would have to excuse myself, pop on a different network, and try to access my office computer.
Oh, well, you've said that there's nothing that's been changed in the plan.
That's correct, Mr.
Any
Chair.
change is
To my
outside.
recollection, the house was shifted slightly. I think one of the garage bays was removed. The idea was to move the house further from what we discovered was an intermittent stream. But I don't think any of that necessarily affected the work that's the subject of this application.
Okay. Well, I don't know how the board feels, but I mean, I'd be comfortable with, I guess, if we were to close the hearing, which was our intent, I would be comfortable with the draft, just the decision, just noting the materials that we were submitted by the applicant, which would be the 1231 site plan. I guess we'd either do that or,
It certainly should be in the file.
yeah.
So I think we could make it subject to that more recent site plan just being attached to our decision.
Okay, and still close it rather than continue.
Yeah, because assuming that and I'm sure it's true, so his testimony.
But conservation agent, I know the changes that were referenced were to the right-hand side of the property in the garage, which were outside the floodplain, but it was to move away from a intermittent, the little pond or wetland area there that they moved from. So it wasn't a wetland, but
Brook.
Vernal pool.
that's brook area down in there. So it wasn't in reference to the floodplain per se.
Okay.
So, just to verify that.
The one submission though was the letter from the Catlins just expressing a concern. They weren't certain, but they were concerned about flooding along Lothrop Lane, correct?
Yes, so they spoke at the last hearing and then they followed up with the submittal of some photographs since our last hearing.
Yeah, Adam, do you have any comment on the photographs and the flooding?
I don't. I do know that the area is a floodplain and subject to flooding. The only real question is whether the work that's being proposed is going to exacerbate that flooding or potentially relocate the flooding. And as Brendan, I think, explained in great detail, nothing that we're proposing is really going to change any of those flood conditions. The area is a floodplain and subject to coastal flooding. But nothing we're proposing is going to exacerbate that condition or redirect water anywhere.
Also, in the letter that it was Ms. Robinson sent, she had commented about, she didn't know if it was our purview about lighting. It is. We do have a bylaw regarding lighting and light pollution and not spilling beyond the property lines. So I do want to make sure that that is attended to.
I can't speak to the lighting plan, Chair Mick Morris, other than to say that it will presumably be blue sky, it's not blue sky, excuse me, dark sky compliant. You can see why I'm working from home this evening. I'm sure that the Ryans will be very sensitive to any concerns of the neighborhood. So I encourage the neighbors, if there is a problem with lighting in the future, that they bring it to their attention, will need to be addressed.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other board comments on this application? Anyone from the public wish to speak? And I think for the record on this application, I show David, myself, and Leah as being the 3 voting members. So do we have a motion to close the hearing for 159 Atlantic Avenue?
So moved.
Seconded.
It moved and seconded. David Morris,
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Leah Fernandez,
Aye.
Lee Darst,
Aye.
Woody Chidick.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
So that gets us through our 4 continued hearings. And brings us to the deliberation of any closed hearings. So our first closed hearing is 54-60 Beach Street, which is now strictly for a dock application. We do have a draft in front of the board for this. Actually, Charlie, if you want to rejoin us.
I'll stay here.
Okay.
He'll have to go back, but
All right. So for this application, though, 54-60 Beach Street, this is now strictly for a dock application. It's myself, you, and David are the voting members on it. We have a draft decision, which is in favor of approving the dock. I think we reviewed the specs for the dock. It met all the criteria for our standard dock application. I know I don't have any comments or concerns. I would be in favor of approving the decision. David or Charlie, any comments or anything on it?
Nope.
Or do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the draft as written.
Okay. And I'll second it. So
I would prefer, based on the Joy Street or Joy Place decision of a month or 2 ago, to change the wording from under 4 conditions, section 4, number 3. The only boats permitted to use the structure will be basically I don't know what my phraseology is, but by the applicant, as opposed to non-commercial. You could add a lot of non-commercial structures that in fact could be rented out or something else. I think I don't like the language as much as will only be used by the property owners.
Well, yeah, I see where you're saying. But so the bylaw states that it's non-commercial. Meaning, I think if your neighbor wanted to have their dock there and it was non-commercial, then that would be fine. Like, so, you could let your neighbor's boat, it doesn't only have to be the property owner's boat, as long as it's a non-commercial.
What if the property owner wanted to put four different neighbors, craft on it? And it really becomes a hazard to navigation or something. Where in the bylaw does it say non-commercial? Section 9?
Probably on the resident.
I think it's in the
I think it's specific.
And
accessory. It's in the accessory use.
Oh, next. Section 4.
I think so, yeah.
I don't mean to slow this down, but I don't know.
like I had it dovetailed in my old one. I don't have notes.
In regard to a boat.
What?
Yeah, like the dock, there's a couple different requirements which have to do with like height.
I'm looking up all different terms in the B code to see if I can find anything.
So I think if you looked for,
There's one on private boat dock.
I think you can probably go into section 4.3, kind of extrapolated because the uses of kind of residential, so it's like the principal use. The accessory use.
But what part of section
Commercial use
4.3?
is not allowed in the residential neighborhood, so the commercial use is already in and of itself not allowed, so so that wouldn't be allowed for a commercial boat to be there. If it's used for residential purposes.
Yeah, my objection is to the wording non-commercial. I know that commercial can't be used there, but I think personally, I mean, if it's in here, fine. But it's non-commercial versus
what was it, private?
accessory to the what?
Or had it, it's either it either says private in here or it says non-commercial, but if it says private, like that it can only be private use, is that?
The definition of private boat dock in the,
What section are you?
I'm just looking up the definitions in 302.1. I'm
Okay,
not bound by paper, I'm just like searching.
that's fine. 2.1. Except, are you under dock or accessory?
Well, it says private boat dock and it just says a single dock for the private use of the owner of the land on which it is constructed. Located such that it will not adversely affect the the property of a butter. So that's the definition of private boat dock. So if we include that, the only
I prefer that
boats
definition.
permitted to use this structure, to use the private boat dock. Or just,
Yeah, I see where you are.
yeah,
Yeah, I prefer that wording, private boat dock, rather than non-commercial.
or will be treated as such a, by the, like the definition of, I don't know, I'm not a word, but if that's, worth renaming.
Yeah, read it again. A single dock for the private use of the owner of the land on which it is constructed, located such that it will not adversely affect the property of abutters. I think this is a private boat dock that we're talking about.
Right.
So I would strike the non-commercial part, which is not in the bylaw, and call it a private boat dock. Or private for a single dock for the private use of the owner. You see,
Yeah.
right? You see where I am.
Yeah. I was trying to see where that other. That makes sense to me. I was just trying to see where that other criteria
But
was,
the non-commercial,
what it actually
it
said.
could have been a carry forward from
Yeah.
before the bylaws were changed a year or so ago, because this whole section was reorganized. I don't think it's a big deal, but I just think it's a safer definition.
Well, I think we're granting a special permit for a private boat dock, so the definition is kind of incorporated by itself.
Okay, so, but I would still strike non-commercial from this decision. Because we're adding words that aren't in the bylaw.
Well, by the definition of the bylaw, if
All right, why don't we just
if
strike
somebody has
condition
a
3?
commercial boat, it's their private use on their private dock. I think we can include non-commercial as a condition, which is what we're trying to do here, to make sure that it's just recreational boats on the dock.
All right, I disagree. I would strike 3 entirely. It's not a condition, it's a definition.
Yeah, but for example, like when the hotel on Border Street was in front of us and they were talking about a dock. Right, we were quick to say our bylaw only allows us for private use docks, non-commercial. So like this condition's usually in there to, I guess, just specify that it's for private use only, whether or not we say for private use only versus non-commercial, but I think the condition needs to stay to specify that, you know, you can't run a business off the dock.
But okay, but if the application is for a private dock, why do you need a condition at all? Why do you need to modify the definition of a private dock?
I think only because I don't know, I can't pinpoint the criteria, but when there's like there's 3 criteria points being, you know, height of the dock, the number of the square footage of the piles and mean high water. And I think that the fact that it's private use is like the 3rd one. So I think that's why we've typically had that as a condition.
Okay, and show me where in this draft it talks about private boat dock.
And that's what the application is for. Special permit for a private boat.
Installation of a dock. Doesn't say private.
I don't see it in the application.
Under findings, under the first number, that's page.
Yeah, it says the proposed private residential dock has a maximum height.
In the first paragraph under A.
such as private boat docks. Okay, so. Yeah, it says that, but that's not a finding. That's simply the definition. The finding is the structural height will not exceed 20, not 200 square feet. Well, I mean, I think we're adding language that isn't in the bylaw.
Yeah, we are. If it's in the bylaw, we don't have to add any language. We're adding language. as a
Then I would
condition
strike
because it's part of the bylaw.
non-commercial. Non-commercial doesn't add anything. It simply conflicts with the definition. If you add non-commercial, you're not approving a private boat dock. You're approving something else. But that's all. I mean, I'm not voting, so it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying that I think you're not approving a private boat dock. You're approving something else.
I guess by saying non-commercial, you'd be more comfortable if it remained as a condition, but said private instead of non-commercial.
Yeah, because there's a difference between private for the owner of the land as opposed to non-commercial, which could be anything. Could be me, you, Charlie could use that dock if the owner wished to. And all of a sudden it's no longer just for the use of the owner.
Well, I think even in the definition, it doesn't say the owner can't have a neighbor use his dock. That's kind of the use of the owner still under the owner's permission to allow the neighbor.
Let me read it to you. I know we're taking too much time. A single dock for the private use of the owner of the land. That's what the definition in the bylaw says. For the private use of the owner of the land, period.
Right, so if he uses his neighbor's boat with his neighbor, isn't that his use? You know what I mean? It's kind of, you kind of get.
I think we're splitting too many hairs here. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a private home, but we can have guests. And this seems to me you have a private dock. And if you have a guest who has a boat, I don't see any reason they shouldn't be able to tie it up there. You can't rent it to them so they can tie their boat up there all the time. But I think it's overly restrictive to say, that only the owner can have their own boat tied up there and nobody else can. I mean, the whole, the application is for a private boat dock, which is a allowed accessory use by special permit. So that we don't really need to restrict it to private boat dock because that's what the application is for. It's already kind of baked in.
But I own a dock and then rent out space to John Howland.
No, because the renting is like a guest house. It's a transaction and a business, so that makes it non-private. Like a guest house.
All right.
I rent out and then.
I'm not voting on it. I'm just saying I don't know why we don't use the language that's in the bylaw and why we're adding language that isn't there. I don't think you're making it more or less liberal. We're just adding confusion, but I don't care.
Yeah, and I don't have one of our past decisions on me, but
It has the language.
I know when we wrote them in the past, we
Yeah, I mean, it's the same.
non-commercial or yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed some of that. I didn't quite hear you.
It sounds
In the Joy Place
Yeah.
decision.
Oh, I know, and that's when it first came up, and I expressed a concern at that point. But the use of the word non-commercial, which is not in the bylaw.
Yeah, I don't have anything before that.
But, all right.
Yeah, I can check the language as to how, I know I've drafted a number of them before we stopped drafting. I can see if that was any different, but. I guess I'll say I understand your feedback, but I think the intent of the condition is just to make it so that somebody's not running a business off the dock, you know? So I mean, whether or not, I mean, I think I'm comfortable with it as it is, but if we wanted to strike non-commercial and have it say private, I would be just as comfortable with that, so. It looks like it's myself, David, Charlie.
You guys.
So,
Sorry, I'm not.
are you okay with it as is, David, or do you want to?
No, I'm
Edit
good
that.
with it. I'm
Okay.
good with it the way it is.
Charlie, you're in favor of it as it is?
What's this?
Um, the doc application, I think we had a moved and a seconded, so before we discussed it a little bit further, so we're gonna go to a roll call for the doc draft decision.
Yeah.
Are you okay with it as written? The draft decision for the doc?
Yes, so I think Woody's argument is legitimate,
Okay,
calling it non-commercial. Let's say a boat, the professional fisherman came up, oh, not dock, that would be illegal.
Yeah, I think that's the reason that we've always put this in as a condition, so that someone can't claim, well, I live here, it's my dock, it's for my private use, and I have a commercial fishing boat and I'm going to tie it up here because it's my private dock and I'm using it privately. So rather than have that kind of issue come up, we've just always put in the non-commercial condition.
yeah. I think I'm comfortable with how it reads. Sounds like David is. Did you want us to make any changes to that condition, or are you comfortable with it?
Me?
Charlie?
I hate to hold up the whole thing, I just think that, who's gonna check with those people that over commercial?
But yeah, I think just the intent of the condition is to,
Intent is this year, this, I don't know, thought was that the owner of the dock did not use it for commercial purposes. Well, the wording, this wording extends to everybody else. They can't use it to commercial.
well, the condition though that,
Bought that on commercial, no problem.
if we drop the non-commercial, it would have to say private instead of non-commercial, because I think we want that condition in there because the docks are only supposed to be for private use. So they use the term non-commercial as a way of saying they're not supposed to be a commercial use. Whether or not we call it private or non-commercial, I think is the only thing we need to determine. I'm comfortable with non-commercial, but there's 3 people voting, so
I think both definitions get you to the same place.
yeah. Do you want to vote on it as non-commercial, or do you want to have a motion to accept it as edited to private? I guess I'm fine with either one. I'm comfortable with it as is, but
Non-commercial and just say private.
yeah, we just changed the word non-commercial to private.
Uh,
That's what you'd like?
What?
That's what you would like? Okay. So can you make a motion to approve the draft decision with one edit, and we'll vote on it?
Well, I think it's make the suggestion that the wording of the paragraph that is be changed to strike non-commercial and private.
Okay, move. I'll second it. All in favor? David Morris,
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Charlie Higginson. Aye. Open up some years. Okay, 159 Atlantic Avenue. This is another closed decision for this one.
Who's the third one?
We have
Is it Leah?
Leah as the third member, so David, myself, and Leah. Think yeah, I'm just looking at the submittals, and it does look like, Julie, we have like the site plan dated 12/23. It says revised 1/2. And the comment from the Concom had 115 as the latest date. So I think, pending that update to the decision that's drafted, comfortable with it. I guess David, Leah, and anybody else from the board, anybody have any additional comments?
I don't.
I don't.
Actually, Lee, you weren't here when this one was presented last month,
Oh,
right?
I listened to the whole hearing.
Oh, okay.
2 hours and 13 minutes.
Oh.
But who's counting?
I'm trying to make tonight's a little quicker, but
Not like I wasn't like looking at the minutes as it went by, but I didn't do the Mullen statement because I would have had to do it for each case, and I knew
Oh, yeah.
that I wasn't counted on for voting. So I figured if for some reason anyone needed me to vote, then for that particular hearing I could do the Mullen and turn it in. But
Okay.
it's all covered. So, but no, I'm quite familiar with the whole issue and the whole issue of how far the boundaries are, whether they cross little private lanes or not. So yes, I am prepared to discuss that later with the zoning application.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the public comment in regards to kind of excessive flooding in that area, the photos that followed it up were interesting to see. I think we also heard from a licensed professional who explained to us that what's incorporated into the plan isn't going to kind of exacerbate an issue that already exists within the floodplain. So I think there's some credit to that as far as, the amount of work that's proposed is not, it looks like there's an issue to begin with, and this isn't going to, I think most importantly, it's not going to divert a problem onto another neighbor, which would be my biggest concern. So I think personally, I'm glad that information was submitted and reviewed by us, but I think I'm still comfortable with approving the the application.
We have the Conservation Commission forward to Julia the approved plan that they issued. That way, at least you have it directly from them and on record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll update that in the draft decision. So, do we have a motion to accept the draft decision with just a minor edit to the site plan date?
Motion
Motion.
to accept the draft decision. With the updated site plan confirmed.
Okay. Moved. We have a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Dave McMorris.
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Leah Fernandez. Lee Darst.
Aye.
Willie Chittick.
Aye.
That is all of our deliberations.
Are you sure? Did you do? I was recused for 76 Beach, but did you guys vote on that?
Did I skip that?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. I think we did. Oh, I skipped from the dock to this one, so we do still need to do 76 Beach Street. 76 Beach Street looks like it's myself, David, and Charlie as the voting members. As a reminder, this was the one that was a special permit to expand the single family dwelling and to reconstruct the attached garage. We had one follow-up for the applicant, which was to provide that updated site plan, which they did, that showed the abutting properties. And I think I was comfortable with the draft decision. I'm not sure. David and Charlie, are you guys comfortable with it as drafted?
I am.
You are, Charlie?
One.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the draft decision for 76 Beach Street.
So moved.
Second it.
Aye.
Charlie Higginson, David McMorris.
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. That's 3 ayes. Lee Darst,
Aye.
Woody Chittick.
I'm
Oh yeah, you're recused, sorry. Leah Fernandez.
Aye. Can I just make one comment?
Yep.
In the draft decision, there's just a little spelling error.
Oh, okay.
Number 6. Required yards and open space is complaint under the dimensional requirements. Just want to make sure it says compliant. That's all.
And we're gonna submit the order of conditions of conservation too, when they finish writing them. We just wait to do it for file.
Great. Now we've deliberated on all the closed hearings, and the meeting minutes for January are still being finalized, so we'll vote on those at the next. Actually, is that for January or February?
That was January, but they'll be ready for. Well, I'll have.
Okay. So we don't have any to vote on tonight, right? Yeah. Okay. The next item for discussion is amendment to the ZBA rules and regulations application. This stems from some conversation we had last month on the site plans that are being submitted, the parameters or what we see on the site plan, and I believe you drafted an update to that, right?
So I just forwarded the and provided to you. I provided it electronically, I didn't print them, but it's the zoning board regulations and then the application. Which outline that the site plan needs to indicate the abutting structures. but there's no set numerical value as to like the radius we want to expand that out to, so that was part of the discussion by the board at the last meeting to talk about, so I don't know if you want to put in some type of like numerical value there and the engineers can work with that.
Well, I mean, what about, I thought we had at one point dealt with 300 feet. And anything beyond 300 feet, I mean, you could be out, you know, in a 10-acre parcel and you couldn't, I mean, you know, beyond 300 feet, it probably doesn't much impact whatever's going on in the application.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was at with it too. And I think our abutter notifications for people that typically receive notifications for a hearing or like a 300-foot radius. So I think it's probably a little disjointed, right? If
Yeah.
somebody comes and their property isn't on there, but they're within 300 feet. So I think that's reasonable to maybe incorporate
So reflect,
like a 300-foot radius from,
and so,
I guess it would be from the property lines.
and will that be on the application itself or the actual,
You
the
raise a good
ZBA
point.
rules and procedures?
Yeah.
Because the application reads a little bit.
What is it? Yeah, maybe you could tell us what the applicant, oh, you have an application there, the model?
Yeah, so in the site plan, the requirements, that's A through G. Requirement F is regarding the location/dimensions of all buildings, driveways, parking areas, and other structures. Boundary lines, names of owners, and locations, dimensions of all buildings, driveways, and parking areas on all immediately adjacent properties. So that's the application.
So I think there, if we added within 300 feet,
I think you'd be
would be good
Fine.
on this. And then I think would have to your point, turn to the regulations, right?
300 feet of the property line, like,
Because I think that's why the Lothrop Lane houses weren't, because they said they weren't adjacent because
Right.
they were divided by the lane. So therefore
Right.
they didn't have to put those on because they weren't adjacent properties.
Right.
So that's what I think we have to clarify, regardless of private way, public way.
yeah, because I don't,
Some way to say
The-
that, because those houses were 10 feet
Right.
away, but they were separated by a private way. So they weren't, as Attorney Brodsky reminded everybody that he, over and over again, that he did not have to comply.
well, right, and he kept pointing to
Mhm.
the application, but he wasn't pointing to our like procedures, like everything written out. He just kept pointing to the application.
But that's
I would
because
be
it
in-
says
I would be in
adjacent property, and adjacent property is next to each other, not separated.
I would be in favor of striking adjacent and putting in 300 feet or something, so that you would be able to go over, you know, a pathway that's 15 feet. A
Yeah, I
private
just
way or
want
a
to be,
public way, and then encompass the property that really is going to be affected. Maybe it's 75 feet away from the house, but right now it doesn't have to be included, but it really should be because sort of like your backyard.
I agree with that, but we need to make sure that we word it so that properties that are across the street from it don't end up being included.
That's the hard thing, because I think of like some of the places downtown that are all close to each other. We could have 60, 50 houses, and we're thinking of the larger pieces of property, but the 300 feet would end up, in a downtown area would
Yeah, but I
encompass a
think
lot of property.
it's only, I think we want to limit it to structures within 300 feet on adjacent properties, not just within 300 feet. Because if it's not, if it's 2 properties down, that's not relevant to the site plan.
But that still doesn't suffice because they were saying we're not adjacent because there's a road between us.
Right,
That
I
was
know.
the argument.
And that's what we need to fix.
Right.
But we don't want to fix it by
Right.
expanding it way beyond what's reasonable.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about because, some of the downtown areas are very congested, and that would be impractical
Hmm.
unless we put, regardless of public or private ways or whether I don't know.
It does become difficult, the rights that come with a way in existence prior to zoning. And this a road, a street, a place, a lane. It's kind of, you're really, you kind of enter the muddy waters, as far as clarity goes, at least the way we have it, it's clear. The way, that was the way in existence. Whether you want to call it common driveway or whatever it is, it's still a way in existence.
Well, I could give you a recent example, which is the Brewster Road situation off the common, where we had that house that was set back about 5 feet from the lot line, and the house across the street was set back about 10 feet from the road. Not lot.
Yeah.
Well, the lot line was the road. Well, never mind.
But it was
I'm wrong, but you know what I mean. But they were no more than 30 feet away from one another, but because there was a road separating them, you didn't have to include the house that you could practically touch.
I mean, is this something, and I don't know if could there be additional wording on that particular bullet that says like, can they consult with like someone before like finalizing their site plan to ensure that like all meaningful properties are included? And I mean, I know that opens it makes it vague, but at the same time, if something like this in Lothrop Lane, if we felt it was super important to have those properties included and represented on this particular site plan, not necessarily a certain feet away, not necessarily adjacent, it's just like someone one of us, I don't know, would deem it like significant.
Yeah, but there's no
I know.
definition.
I know.
I guess maybe we're addressing a problem that doesn't exist, because aren't the people like on Lothrop Lane, for example, weren't those people across that lane, didn't they still get notice from the abutters list?
They did. That's why she came on to the hearing.
Okay, so I mean, I think, even if it's not on the plan, we're going to know that it's there, and we're going to be able to consider it and, condition things and bring it into because our purview is the neighborhood.
Yeah, but Dave, if it's not on a site plan or a submitted plan, how do we know that? Or how can we deal with that?
Okay, so we were made aware of it at the hearing. Could we put, as Leah said, could we add just a caveat onto the site plan and put or upon request of the board?
But we get the site plan after it's.
No, I understand, but that would have what would have been able to be. We could have said to the applicants, can you, like we did for 76 Beach, please update the site plan to include the houses on Lothrop Lane for the board to review.
I think we could, but I was thinking of making it easier for the applicant to do this in advance of a hearing, not stopping a hearing while a new site plan is prepared.
Well, it's just, I mean, they do it a lot, but because we wouldn't have known. I mean, I would not have known that there were houses that close to this property unless that woman came on. Because it's very hard to determine where lot lines are in some of the places in town.
Well, how about, I mean, we have frontage requirements. So if we had required to be shown on the plot plan, the, structures on adjacent properties or any structure within 50 feet of the application, you're going to pick up the ones that are across like Lothrop Lane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably more fine tuning the requirements.
Yeah, the downside of the 300 feet, just to pick 300, is that you could include a lot of houses. That maybe a house in back of a house, right? If
Yeah, like on the hillside or something, you might.
yeah, well, I'm thinking Pleasant Street and things. You've got a lot of houses, so I can see that being a problem. I like the 300 feet, but I wouldn't want to see a whole neighborhood drawn out because they're all sort of clustered within 300,
But aren't we trying to, with the 300 feet thing, we're not trying to include structures, we're trying to exclude them. So that if you have a property next to you that's, 700 feet wide, you don't have to show structures that are more than 300 feet away from your property line. We're not trying to include everything that's within 300 feet. We just want adjacent properties. We want to see the structures on them that are within 300 feet of the applicant's property. And I would think if we added on to that, or any other structure within 50 feet of the applicant's property, we're going to pick up anything on a property like it's across that private lane.
or any other. All right. Say that again, Dave. Or any other property within, let's say, 50 feet, or could be anything.
Structure.
Right.
So any structure. Well, structure could be a wall and a fence. I mean, I wouldn't. Maybe it's building that we care. I don't know.
Dwelling.
Go.
Dwelling. I mean, I think we all have our street that we're picturing. I'm picturing Stockbridge, and if we did 300 feet and
We'd have the whole
Stockbridge,
neighborhood.
we'd have the whole circle. So,
Yeah. Or any other structure within 50 feet of the lot line. Then you don't have to worry about adjacent, the definition of adjacent. Because it would be irrelevant whether a road goes through there. If you're within 50 feet or whatever, you got to show it.
Yeah, we don't want to use or though, we want to use and.
I don't think that would be particularly burdensome on an applicant or an engineering firm to show houses within 50 feet of the lot line, even if they're separated by a street or something else.
Well, and even the way that they did it at 76 Beach Street, he took a Google shot, overlaid the property line, and it was very clear the adjacent structures. I don't know that they would have to go and draw. They could do it.
it's all done by AI anyway. So
They could do it.
Yeah, I mean, if they knew. Yeah, I think you'd want to see a nearby property that might be affected.
Yeah.
300 feet is too much.
I
50
think,
feet is probably fine. That's really two frontages. 60 feet.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I think to change it in the regulations, it would be a bigger deal, but to change it in the application, we could potentially we could start with this and see. We don't have to put and any other. Do we want to say structure or dwelling within 50 feet of the lot line? You know, we could add that to
Yeah.
the
That would be an administrative. Yeah. Try it. Why don't try it?
I think it will,
We're getting some
there's feedback.
feedback there.
Eric's better. I think that would just catch anything that might otherwise slip by. Because it almost seemed as if they used that. They didn't want to show those other structures, and that's what we don't want is people purposefully omitting something just because of like, you know, a word.
Yeah,
Be like,
or a
we didn't have to-
technicality, you've got a lane.
Right.
Most of the lane couldn't be more than 20 feet wide,
Right.
15.
So I think that will do the job of catching.
Do we want it to say structure or dwelling?
Structure and dwelling. Structures and dwellings.
Yeah, you could do that. Well, a dwelling is a structure. So if you said structure, you would encompass a dwelling.
Okay.
It's the other way around. Building or a dwelling is not necessarily a structure. Flagpole's a structure.
And then whoever's submitting the application, can't they just reach out with questions about what does this mean anyways? Like if they were unsure of what structure to include, wouldn't they reach out to the office?
What,
Yeah, maybe we should go with dwelling then, so you're not getting like pools and flagpoles and
That's
stuff.
what I
They
was
they might
thinking.
say to us like, hey, we can't really with accuracy
maybe like
show you where these things are, you know?
Yeah, or why am I showing you a flagpole or a mailbox, which is a structure technically,
in the,
when in fact,
It's, well, with structures, you're gonna pick up AC condensers.
Shed.
You're gonna- Well, that's a building.
Yeah.
Also up there, but you're gonna pick up a stone wall, a fence,
yeah,
that's pool equipment,
that's too broad.
outdoor fireplaces, those are all.
Yeah.
How about if we say
Build-
Well,
Wait.
for example, in the relief that you get in section on A, B, and C for the setbacks, it refers to buildings that you're able to get the relief. You can't give the relief to structures.
Right.
So
Why don't we say building and then see what happens? Now, there may be a tool shed,
but that's a building.
but.
Yeah.
Is that being too?
I don't think so. I mean, it's only going to come up once every 5 years. So
Yeah, I like building. And then we can always say, okay, well, you didn't include the 5 foot, whatever it is, tool shed, big deal. But if it isn't a big deal, but at least we know it.
And that will likely only come up through an abutter who has an opposition to it anyways, so like they're gonna say something. The people that are, not in favor of any of these appeals, so.
Yeah, so I think we'll add that to section F of the application. I don't know if we need to, I know this is the administrative portion of it, if we have to make a motion to do that, or if we could just, add the language to it,
I think you can just make a motion to approve the amended language. And then cite the section numbers that you're changing, and then read it with the new language.
Okay.
On the
And then
application.
I just.
I think you could make the motion to write it and then bring it forward like a decision. And then-
Bring it in April.
Yeah, and then kind of go through the
And then
draft.
just,
Draft change. That format gives you a little
Yeah.
more structure.
Yeah, because just for the record, we're talking about, section F of the site plan
Of the-
on the,
The application.
on the application.
Yeah.
And the language that we're considering is adding and any other building within 50 feet of the lot line. And so we'll make a motion, or we'll look for a motion to have that language drafted for review at the April meeting. You have a motion for that?
So moved.
So move.
Moved.
Seconded.
Seconded. All in favor, David Morris?
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Charlie Higginson? Aye. Lee Darst?
Aye.
Woody Chidick?
Aye.
Leah Fernandez?
Aye.
Okay, we're good there.
Okay. Can we make a note in our April meeting, if we have any engineers that attend it, just run it by them, see what they think about this 50-foot thing? So I would like to hear them saying it's really just no big deal, or, you know, it's going to cost the applicant an extra $500, which I don't think we want to do either. So it just,
You think, John?
I think yes and no. Some of it is covered in G2, kind of ask it for a little more clarification if needed. But you know, I think 50 feet is probably a reasonable distance. Or the only other thing you could add to that is they could ask for a waiver in that thing saying that it doesn't pertain to this. Then
We've had people do.
Mhm.
you know, to the 50 feet, they could ask for a waiver that they don't have to provide it because there isn't any,
Yeah.
or it doesn't apply to this
Yeah,
application.
and I think if there's nothing
It's in the
there,
back of the house and 50 feet in the front yard, you know, so they might, again, at least give them relief that way to ask for a waiver from this if you know, feels needed. I think that kind of gives you a little bit more balance.
okay. The next, we do have a discussion on here for sign bylaw, but I know we've talked about that the last few times. I don't know if anybody has anything additional in this meeting to add on that.
I don't remember where we left off on that.
The snow to melt.
Yeah. We're gonna see what's out there when the snowbanks get on.
Yeah, well, let's.
But I think we're also
the snow.
more like forward thinking, like
Yeah.
moving forward on some of them.
Actually, I do have a question on, we kind of came up earlier, and I've been in the in residence A, B, and C, there is relief for any building less than 15 feet, you know, can move closer to the lot line. But I've always interpreted as that doesn't include a pool, doesn't include pool equipment, doesn't include a generator, a tank. That all has to be within the setbacks. You know, but that's the way it reads, but you know, I'm just more asking the question, you know, because people have asked me for the relief on a pool. I said, we can't really grant the relief on a pool because it says building, not structure. So, or a tennis court, you know, can't be closer than the setbacks for that zone district, or, you know, again, because of the because the relief is building, not a structure. You know what I mean?
I know pools, which would predate you. And I don't know if this was consistent, but I know, like, when I looked at different pools on site plans, it was that you could get within 6 feet
Yeah, no, you can't.
of the line.
That's all.
But it sounds like the interpretation is
It
different.
reads building specific. I don't know whether it got changed 2 town meetings ago, but it reads buildings specific. So in other words, you can't even, if your air conditioning condensers are within the setbacks, they can't go there. Or you have a tank for propane. Nope, it has to, because it's, you know, if you put a building, a roof over it, then you can put it closer, but it just seems like there's a little You know, and it's pretty specific about building, not structure. You know, but I don't know whether that was the intent. Or not.
Yeah, except that
That's more of a question than not.
Yeah.
the way they've got the yard rear setback and the yard side setback, it's a between a building or other structure and side lot line. Or between the side lot lines and the rear wall of a building or other structure. I don't.
Yeah, but if you go to the relief, I think it's like little asterisk 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah,
Within the table, right?
those footnotes almost, yeah, table,
Yeah, the table of relief.
Of
7 and
dimensions.
8, 10 and 11. It specifically says building, so it doesn't give the relief to a pool or a tennis court or what else. But because pool equipment can't be within the setback.
yeah, for instance, footnote 10, you're right, except 15 feet for any portion of a principal building with less than 15 feet in height and 6 feet for any accessory building. But an HVAC, you know, a thing isn't a building, it's a structure. I mean, you know, an air conditioner or whatever.
Right, and technically, if you relieve it, a fence is a structure too. So-
Yeah, it is.
Or a stone
Yeah,
wall.
A wall.
You know, so those, so I don't, it kind of. It restricts us from common sense at some point, but you know, it's up to, I'm bringing it up because people, I've had several. Engineers come to with relief saying. Oh, yeah, we get it because it's a pool. I said, well, it doesn't read that way. It says, you know, building. So I'm just more asking the question, not that we're gonna get an answer tonight, but
Yeah.
just it might be.
So John, you're
Okay.
saying if somebody has an air conditioning compressor 7 feet away from the property line, then they're in violation, but if they put a doghouse over it, then it's okay. Is that right?
According to the way the bylaw reads. So that's, you know, it doesn't give me exceptions.
Right. Mm.
So I don't know whether that's something we might want to think about to kind of, I don't know, make it more user friendly or
Yeah.
again, just a thought.
Yeah.
And again, could be someone that wants to put a generator in.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden that doesn't meet the setback, so they can't do it on a tight lot because they can't get the relief or a propane tank. You know, because we run a
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, that's, and I don't want to make them put a roof over a propane tank just to, you know, to have a, you know. But so that's all. I'll think. I just when you brought it up earlier.
Well, you could craft something and then see what. I mean, because you're gonna have to be the first line of administration.
Yeah, just
I mean, could you live with this or not? And then see what we think, but.
yeah, it'd just be nice to get your feedback and see what you guys.
Yeah, because I always thought that, you know, and it sounds like I was wrong, but I know I've even been asked about pools and do they fit that 15-foot exemption? And I always said, yeah, my understanding is
Right, because it makes sense.
You know, like,
But then I don't know whether structure got changed to building.
yeah,
In a couple town meetings ago. When because I didn't think it was always.
Yeah, I don't have the old bylaws with me.
Right,
If
I think
about
that's
it, I'll look.
the place, but. You know. Is a structure a better place for that? You know. To change. Italy to structure. Yeah, I'll think about it, but I just.
Yeah,
You know, it's just
of course, a fence is a structure and you don't want a fence being 15 feet back from the lot line necessarily, or a wall.
right, you know, so it's
So-
just kind of.
6 of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, you know,
Right, it is, hey, but, so that's what we might want to think about it anyway, and I'll think about maybe come up with something too that might work and you guys can.
You said it was recently changed?
I don't know whether it was changed a few town meetings ago when Tom
Well, our practice has been, and then they overhauled it and we didn't get to see
No, I know, and
see all the overhaul. So you're right, you say it may be changed, have been changed.
yeah, that's why I thought I remember it being structure and now it's building, but
And we made a couple of exceptions on fences and walls. If a wall was not higher than 3 feet, it could be closer. I mean, as a structure. If it's higher than 3 feet, then it had to be set back more. But
right,
now it says building.
yeah.
That doesn't make sense. They probably changed it.
Yeah, and I mean, even a pool, you know, because it, you know, it seems like they should be able to get the relief for the pool equipment at least.
Exactly.
Because you can put a driveway that quick 5 feet, right?
Yeah.
But
Right, if
And
it's,
park your car.
John, I have another question. Have you gotten any new permits for ADUs? I know not that we would have to, I was just curious about ADUs in the town.
we probably have 6 so far.
Wow.
For ADUs, all of them under the 900 square feet and kind of compliant, so they are kind of, and that, I probably have another half dozen inquiries to that, so they're kind of, you know, starting to come in, people look at them. For both, I think half of them were for family members, and the other half were just because they wanted it for the use to rent out, but still.
I think there's been one or two, maybe proposed conversions of a guest house into a ADU, but I'm not sure if that's actually happened or just being talked about.
There was one I know.
Chris Ford or somebody was.
Yep, there was one I know that would meet the requirements. We said now that the ADU is available, that you're able to come in and apply for that by right, because there's a small guest house that, you know, I think was established 25 years ago, but
Yeah, and God knows the town needs ADUs.
yeah, so they're kind of, yeah, coming in.
this is different than the one he already brought in.
I don't know. No, maybe that's the one.
He brought one in on
The one in Pleasant
Pleasant
Street.
Street.
Yeah.
I mean,
There was a shed that we approved. That we
Yeah, but we also had one down on Hull Street.
yes, he came back with a redesign plan with a smaller unit. So he was around 850. And he went to conservation. And then with an ADU, it's the same as a dwelling. We, you know, goes to the fire department for approval of smokes and septic system and there, and then they want a house that has a one that's coming before us too. So the Board of Health reviews it. They usually need a separate tank for the ADU if it's detached. So, yeah, I think they're coming in.
Good.
Yeah, the only other thing on our agenda says next zoning board meeting is April 6th. So
I don't think we need a big debate on that one, do we?
And do we have any new hearings coming in, Julia, for April?
Nothing new submitted for April.
And would it
Jeez.
already have had to have been submitted?
It probably, I think the deadline might be today.
Oh, okay.
Let me double check.
So we have a quiet meeting next.
and we closed 3 of these, so depending on what happens with 469.
Yeah,
It sounds like, will they withdraw? You think is that where it's heading or?
yes, I think we've gone back in time and they've corrected some of the past errors with the sewer commission. Then with the building department, they reapply for the permit, and then the will issue a new building permit and then inspect it and send them on the way.
Okay.
Okay.
So March 9th, next Monday, is the submission deadline for April. So we
Okay.
may submit a new application if someone submits between now and then.
Not if you don't come to work, they won't.
We'll still submit.
So,
For
do we
sure.
do we want to set the May meeting in case we decide to cancel the April meeting?
We have a town meeting coming up right on the 4th of May, I think.
Yes,
So that would move us to the 11th?
yes.
Which is when we're already set for. May
Okay,
11th.
good.
Okay.
It's already on the, well, it's already on automatically on my calendar with the link. So we have May 11th.
I mean, so far that looks good to me. I mean,
Yeah, and I think for April, we haven't had any verbal requests or inquiries for the zoning board either. You know, people kind of getting ready to put in an application, so I don't anticipate any between now and Monday. Usually they kind of stop in to do their eye just to get things going before they submit, but
But if this 469 submits for withdrawal,
I think we can still,
technically we still need to have a hearing, right? To accept it.
but I think that could still be continued to the following there. If he's submits for withdrawal, it means that he has his full house occupancy permit. So that it draws that makes it just kind of
moved.
so I don't think it would stop anything from the sale or whatever they want to do there.
Yeah. Good. So maybe that can go into May. And we'll ask him for an updated letter if it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to jinx it. We still have another week to make sure we don't get another application.
It's all on Julia's shoulders. Boy, I'll tell you, man. I wouldn't want that kind of pressure.
Pressure.
Maybe we can have the same streak in July and August.
Yeah, that's when we really want it. Who the heck cares about April?
Motion
All
to
right.
adjourn?
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. So we have a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Dave McMorris.
Aye.
Matt Watkins, aye. Charlie.
Aye.
Lee Darst.
Aye.
Woody Chittick.
Aye.
Leo Fernandez. All
Hey,
right.
Dave, is it
Meeting's
the
adjourned.
camera on your computer or are you getting canned?
Doesn't
Doesn't he
it-
look different now?
All right, I'm on my iPad now because my computer just ran out of juice.
No.
But I did just get back from the beach, so
He looks relaxed.
We're not jealous, but
Yeah, it's 21 and feels like 10 here. So no, we're not jealous at all.
Someone did say that today is probably the last time it's going to be this cold going forward. So this is the worst of it. We're past it.
okay, well.
Warmer days are coming.
All right, I'll come home.
Okay.
promise.
Bring the weather with.
I hope so. It felt like something worth repeating,
Yeah.
at least to myself. Like if this is it, this is all I have to do. Just one more of these.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.